Welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship live from Los Angeles, California. We're just minutes away from the match between Gaming Gear and OMG. But first, I'd like to welcome Team Solomid's Dyrus to the interview lounge. Dyrus, congratulations on that victory versus the Lemon Dogs. Tell me about that matchup, because you guys got behind. They got an early first blood, the Lemon Dogs. How you guys come back from that?
So the moment Odd One died, I immediately felt the need to carry really hard. So since my lane, I'm supposed to win really hard. I actually lost in a scrim with that matchup yesterday, so I played against Xpecial like 7 times, and I lost 6 out of 7 times. So the practice came in handy, and the hard work paid off.
It absolutely did. Tell us something about how you feel about this group right now and your performance so far and the chances of getting out of it.
Right now, we can't lose more than 1 game, and we already choked really hard on our second game. Me and Reggie threw pretty hard, but getting out of this phase is just a matter of playing solid, analyzing replays. One of the things that I'd like to state is I felt like I was a little bit behind in the top laner meta, so I watched the replay, I watched both top laners, I immediately understood everything, and I felt like I just jumped in the level of understanding.
Now, of course, later on day, you'll be going up against SK Telecom T1, another chance to go up against a Korean team and grasp a victory, and against Impact, as you were talking about, strong top laners. How do you feel going into that one?
I felt pretty good after watching the Gaming Gear game, seeing how they died 7 times, no offense. No offense to either teams, but I feel like they may be a little jet lagged still, or maybe we're just overhyping. But either way, I'm going to go in with my strongest hero, strongest play, and we'll do our best as TSM to show that NA that we can actually get a win against a Korean team.
All right. Yes, as you said, they don't look unbeatable. Is that also the impression you get out of the Korean team in Group B, or your general impressions about that group?
I feel like without Ham, they've been a little handicapped because they don't have him. He's the main mental state of their group, and I feel like they're just not playing their best right now. It's very unfortunate, but when you come to Worlds, you gotta bring your best, and I feel like they could be much better. Also, this new patch, Dottie's champion pool got screwed over, and he wasn't able to prepare a new champion. So when I was watching yesterday, I felt really bad for him. But he's a very good player regardless. What other part of the question was there? I'm sorry.
Just generally about Group B, but if you just want to keep it to Ozone.
No offense. A lot of people are going to hate me for this, but I feel like Group B is at least 3 times easier than Group A.
Could you maybe elaborate? Because you just hit on Ozone, but is there any other team you target with that statement, or?
Everybody.
All right. Fighting words. Well, of course, you guys have a lot of confidence right now after that victory, and the entire team just gelling well, good team fights. How would you say that the atmosphere is in the team right now?
We're feeling pretty good right now, winning and morale. Morale is a huge thing. You can tell from our last game. The moment Odd One died, like everyone on the team instantly worked on morale and like looked for ways to win. And I'm not actually sure how we won that game in the end. I just was pretty much on an island. But one of the biggest things is just morale.
All right, well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Good luck in your matchup against SK Telecom T1 later on in the day. For now, let's send it over to Quickshot and Freak for some more group stage action.
Thank you very much, Sharks. I am Trevor Quickshot Henry alongside David Freak Turley, and we have the pleasure of bringing you our 4th game of the day, the international wildcard, Lithuania's Gaming Gear EU versus China's OMG. And while these 2 teams' records make this match a real David and Goliath battle, remember that David did win.
Yeah, I did. I was awesome back then. Now, guys, even though Gaming Gear did lose their first game today, they actually played their best match of Worlds so far. And that was against SKT and Faker. Those are some good opponents. So if Gaming Gear can keep improving, you honestly never know what's going to happen. We've seen teams turn their fates around in the middle of this tournament already.
Yeah, the problem is that Mazarine and the Lithuanians face the only team that has beaten SKT so far at the Worlds. That is, of course, the undefeated OMG.
Yeah, OMG have been doing a very good job of winning all their matches, but their just prior match against Lemon Dogs was actually really, really close. At one point, it looked like they might have lost that one. 16-13 is not an impressive scoreline against a team that's 1-3 in the groups. But, of course, OMG was able to keep their cool, and, of course, their mid laner was a big part of that one. He went 5-1-7 as Ari. That's a champion you kind of want to remove from China's summer season MVP.
Yeah, he played it twice already, and both times has been very impressive with it. Guys, let's actually pull up those starting lineups for you. We want to get this match underway. And on the blue side, in this particular game, it is going to be, of course, Gaming Gear EU. NBS up there in the top lane, Alinir in the jungle, Mazarine in the mid, still full smiles across his face with Deadly Brother and Inspiro as your AD carry and support.
And of course, on the red side is OMG with Go going in the top lane, Loveland in the jungle, Cool in mid, Son on AD carry, and Big Pomelo on support. And something you talked about with those lineups was the smiles on Gaming Gear's faces. We actually just heard Dyrus talk about how important morale was for TSM. Even after giving up first blood, they all made sure that they were still focused and still happy and ready to play. And that is important. That's something we've seen both with the Group B underdog in Mineski, but also with Gaming Gear as well, where even if they're down early on, they have smiles on their faces, and they still put out a lot of effort in the matches.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you cannot discount in these games. We've already heard from Gaming Gear that they are here to learn, they're here to absorb as much as they can, and they have been progressively improving with each of their games. So let's see how they do now against the Chinese OMG. We are into picks and bans, and as it stands, there's some shared picks and bans, or pick champions. You know, the likes of Renekton, Aatrox, we know that both of these teams play them.
Yeah, and the top laners especially share a lot of similarities. Actually, they play a lot of those brawlers like Renekton in the top lane. The mid laners are actually very, very different. Whereas Cool's playing the assassins like Zed, Ahri, and Fizz, we've really only seen Mazarine really play Gragas and Orianna. Now, Orianna's a champion you might see from Cool, but you actually have a bit of a disparity here in styles, and that's where I'm really going to see some of these players start diverging their picks.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Mazarine can adapt his playstyle. He hasn't had the same level of impact here at the World Championships that he did have at Gamescom at the International Wildcard Tournament. And as it stands right now, both of these teams, they're really taking their time as far as picks and bans is concerned. Zed, Shen taken out, Lee Sin once again targeted. They definitely want to get that one away from Loveland, who's already played it twice this tournament.
And I still want to see the jungle Yorick come out, because that is one of those champions that we see banned away from OMG a few times. Loveland plays the jungle Yorick, opens with the Doran's Blade, dives as heavy as he would with Lee Sin, just uses ghouls instead of kicks to get kills. But I want to see it come out. I do. I want to see the interesting stuff come out, the unconventional picks that we don't normally see too much of. And here's a good chance. There's only one ban left. Maybe they give it away.
Well, we'll have to see what they decide. Thresh has been taken away. Inspiro has played that twice already this tournament. Sona once. So we'll have to see where he defaults to. We have been seeing the likes of that Fiddlesticks as your support. But I do want to highlight that Corki is still up. Corki has only gone through one game without being picked or banned. And every other time it has actually been either played or taken off the field of battle.
And if I recall correctly, both these teams have both played that champion at this point in this tournament, so you know it's available in these teams' rosters. Now, still, it's actually more aggressive early game junglers being taken away by Gaming Gear. And this is actually, I like this idea actually. So instead of just banning out against Cool a whole bunch, which is a viable strategy, they're banning out the really good early game junglers, the ones that are very hard to play against from Loveland, saying, look, as long as Loveland can't make the plays as one of the best junglers in the world, we can survive the dives otherwise, we can survive the lanes otherwise, we'll get past that early game state, and then win in mid game.
Well, we'll have to see if that plan works out for them, because as we've already highlighted, OMG's 3v1 tower dives have been some of the best that we've probably seen ever, actually. They've pulled off those 3.5 minute dives a couple of times already, and it's just so well executed and well structured. And as you were highlighting, Orianna has been locked in there for Mazarine.
So the Orianna is one of the two big comfort picks for Mazarine there. Again, that and Gragas. Yeah, it's not going to be a real one. I like the Jarvan pickup as well, because it is a bit of a steal away from Alinir. It's something he's been playing a lot of. The Renekton is also a steal right here, and Renekton or Orianna actually is such a very scary combo to deal with. You've got another good champion for ball delivery. You can turn Renekton into an initiator. But of course, with the rest of the junglers not banned out, here's the Aatrox available. Again, NBS has been playing Aatrox before. He can initiate fights. There's a lot of good options here for gaming gear.
Also, if that Aatrox gets thrown into the jungle, it'll be the first time that we see Aluna actually playing a non-Jarvan the fourth jungler. So we'll have to see what they decide to run with as this goes on. Zyra has been already secured for Gaming Gear EU, so that versatility of that top lane and jungle pick, depending on where they want to put the Aatrox, leaving it for last.
Yeah, we'll see where it ends up going here. And this is actually smart because the thing is, they don't need to be super versatile with the top lane. They know Renekton's there. And again, just because NBS has played it before, I expect that to be Aatrox top, really at the end of it all. But what you're going to watch here is where else Cool wants to go with these picks, because he could have gone Ahri, he could have gone Fizz, wanted the Gragas in here actually to help knock back some of the front line, help disrupt team fights. And what I'm curious to see is what type of Gragas we see. Montecristo talks a lot about the sieging Gragas, who pokes people off of turrets. We saw actually when it was picked up against Fnatic by Ozone, it was to try to disengage the dive team.
Without having their AD carry locked in, I imagine that focus could change. If they pair that with the likes of a Caitlyn, it would aid them in that tower pressure. If they pair it with the likes of a Vayne or something like that, it could aid them in trying to find those picks and the kills. So maybe OMG leaving the overall strategy to this last and final pick once they've seen all of the Lithuanian champions locked in.
Well, the team composition for OMG actually works really well as a scrapping team. You've got Jarvan, who can initiate without waiting for his ultimate, compared to someone like Vi. He can keep looking for battles. Renekton's a really good jungle brawler as well. And that's actually, and then of course Gragas can, again, get around the walls, jump into fights a whole lot, and do a bunch of burst damage. So OMG looks like a team who just wants to scrap in the jungle a whole bunch and contest for objectives. And so an AD carry who can fight often is really good, more so than like a Sieger.
Well, we'll have to see what they decide to confirm. The Gaming Gear composition has been rounded out now with that Vayne and that Zac. So Aatrox and Zac, we'll see what they decide to throw. We have seen NBS running Aatrox in the top lane, so this could be a jungle Zac. And, you know, we always talk about that ball delivery system. You can throw it on Aatrox, you can throw it on Zac. Either of them will do well. Against a team like OMG, I also see that counter initiation and zone control of Zyra playing into their favor if they're able to time their abilities correctly. So I quite like what Gaming Gear have stuck together right now.
I do too. Zyra actually makes a lot of sense against a Jarvan Renekton combo. And remember that the Zyra was locked in after OMG showed both of those two champions. And so she says, yes, you guys can dive in, but I will knock you up, I will root you in place. And with this lineup that OMG shows, the Vayne is safe. If Deadly Brother plays a good laning phase and scales up, he will do very well in these team fights. There's not a lot of great assassination potential as long as Fiddlesticks doesn't catch him.
Well, we'll have to see how it pans out for them. Kog'Maw has been locked in as the AD carry for OMG. So a vastly different composition for what we've been seeing as far as the bottom three lanes are concerned. This is the first time Gragas for Cool in this tournament, the first time Kog'Maw, and the fourth different AD carry for San. He has played Kate, Corki, Tristana, and now Kog'Maw, so he's really showing diversity in his champion pool.
It's interesting to me that he actually showed Kog'Maw as opposed to someone like Tristana, just because there's a lot of backline diving available, and Tristana's a little bit more selfish, can push back the Zac, but we'll see how the Kog goes. He'll do a good job killing tanks in the front line.
Definitely going to have to keep his control of that W locked down. Guys, before we get to this game, let's check out who you actually think is going to walk away with that W. According to LOLesports.com, 93% of you guys think that OMG will go to 4-0 and end the first half of the group stage with a perfect record.
And all the analysts said OMG as well. This is one of those games where everyone's on the same page, so we might all get it right or wrong, but the standings won't change.
There is a very big problem with all of the analysts agreeing on OMG. Crepo has picked them too.
Oh.
And traditionally, he has not been the most accurate. So we'll have to see how this one works out. The game is loading up. This is definitely going to be a difficult game as far as Gaming Gear are concerned. OMG have already taken down SKT, and SKT have beaten Gaming Gear. So if you use that logic, OMG should be able to pick this one up. But I imagine the real question is where these lanes going to set up. Vayne Zyra against a Cog Fiddle that's definitely duo lanes we don't see all that often anywhere, really.
If I remember properly what Doubles was talking about, and now, mind you, this was when Gambit was playing the Sona Cog duo lane, he said that, yeah, Cog's going to do well against Vayne in lane. Now, he might have been referring more to the support picks right there, but in general, I do like Vayne is very short range. Fiddlesticks is it's easy for Fiddle to land a Terrify and screw with the Vayne and make his life really difficult. And Kog'Maw is really good at landing auto attacks onto opponents and again, picking Vayne down and doing a lot of damage there. So if I understand it correctly, actually a pretty decent 2v2 for OMG.
Well, we'll see how they match up. You did see multiple members of OMG sneaking themselves towards this top half of the map, and Gaming Gear backing out just as they were approaching that brush. So a lot of members of both teams stacking up on this top half of the map. OMG definitely signaling intentions to invade here.
And this is the thing, is they also want some ward control just to get the lane matchups right as well. That's actually also very important. And that's actually a lot of what we tend to see with the ward patterns, is they watch where the duo lane goes, where the solo lane goes, also where the jungle pass goes. They can watch for dives. As we saw with when SKT fought OMG, not spotting the jungler in time, getting dived by Loveland was a fatal mistake for the Koreans.
Well, OMG decided to back away. Everybody was clenching their teeth for a moment as that dark wind from Big Pamela was bouncing across the members of Gaming Gear. There is some deep wards there, so OMG will at least know Alinya's path through the jungle. But this is the first time we're seeing him on this jungle Aatrox, and we didn't even talk about the fact that MBS actually has that top lane Zac. So slightly more traditional positions for these champions.
And there's actually a very small risk that Gambit, or not, I keep seeing the GG and thinking it's Gambit Gaming, that Gaming Gear are going for, because they're starting the buff with their solo lane against what's basically 1v2 matchup. If OMG ran for an invade right away, they would actually have a 2v2 fight right there and force an early smite or win a battle. We've seen that actually happen with the likes of Vulcan before, but Gaming Gear are unpunished for their choice of buff, and this actually allows a lot more safety for a Lunar's second half of the jungle.
Well, we'll see how he decides to roll after securing those buffs. Loveland has picked himself up that red buff right now, and Gaming Gear do have their preferred setup of the 2v1 lane. Going with that Lifeguard Renekton up in the top lane. He's been zoned out of any experience or any CS right now, and that very long range of Zyra going to make his life a bit difficult in his opening couple of minutes.
And this is a good thing for Gaming Gear, because Zac does more with low gold than Renekton does with low gold. Zac can just pop his crowd control, knock people in the air, split into his passive, and more or less do his job. So if NBS gets starved and Going gets starved, it's a good thing for Gaming Gear.
Well, I'll have to see how it works out for them. MBS right now still 0 to Going 0 as well. A very slow start. Neither of these lanes really even trying to get any sort of harass down or poke on one another. And Deadly Brother just wants to get as much CS as possible.
And he's actually soaking up experience pretty well. The solo laner has actually already hit level 2 before the turret dive can even happen, even if a Lunar were looking for that. So that's actually a bit of a lead there for Going. Just in case the dive did happen, though none of these junglers are looking for the early aggression, both junglers actually looking to defend and extend this 2v1 phase.
At this point in time, Alina is moving towards this bottom lane to help defend NBS and maybe fend off any potential dive. However, Loveland up on the top lane is mimicking this position. So we're going to see that almost 2v2 defense of the tower and supportive jungling movements as opposed to the ganks or the kill positions that we've seen.
And one thing that's interesting about the fact that these guys went for defense was Lunar was set up to go top lane. He started at his red, went towards his blue, was on the top side of the map. Whereas Loveland started the top side of the map and hit level 3 over at the bottom, but there were no wards inside of OMG's jungle. So Gaming Gear had no way of knowing if Loveland was waiting for a counter gank or completely on the wrong side of the map, so they weren't able to go for the 3v1 dive.
All right, now Alina at level 4 with 17 CS is practically double the amount of Loveland. Of course, that Jarvan has been trying to help defend this tower with a shorter range on Vayne. Makes it a little more unsafe if you're trying to get any DPS down onto that tower. And for the time being, Gaming Gear happy to be passively farming up.
Yeah, they are so far. Honestly, getting a Vayne with some free farm is going to be a pretty wonderful thing. Internet Explorer, unfortunately, League of Legends is still doing fine, though, so not a big deal.
Yeah, that is it. We have switched back over, and now we see Mazrin has been jumped on. Fool's already burnt that Ignite. Mazrin forced to fall backwards, but is sitting on 250 HP. He doesn't have any potions to use, though, so may have to recall and get back. Great there from Going. He's going to use Renekton and shuts down that ward the moment it's put down.
And I like the early recall from Loveland for the wards. It will allow him to exert a bunch of control over this mid game. With the pink ward, he can set up a gank path. With the green ward, he can set up defense as well for any one of the isolated lanes. For example, NBS wouldn't have to recall if Loveland warded for him.
Well, Loveland right now, with that blue buff still on, no longer has the red buff available to him. Currently level 4 against Deadly Brothers level 4. We see in the bottom lane, Alinea has now returned. He was sitting mid, was helping protect Mazarin for a little bit, and has now decided to come and slow down the bottom lane. This is arguably one of the slowest starts that we've seen from OMG. They haven't committed to any sort of fights, and they seem to be quite content farming. As we talk about that, that's a flash forward into a stun on Deadly Brother. The roots don't land. Exhaust is on going. 110 HP left as Deadly Brother's trying to get away. 2 seconds for Cole the Meek. He gets up, but the Dragon Lance manages to secure it. Inspro's going to walk out, and OMG, they managed to pick up first blood.
And I was actually about to say that when you see 2v2 lanes, once like level 4 hits, you'll sometimes see these guys go for a dive because they built a level lead. And so the dive worked very successfully there for OMG. The knock-up combo, the double stuns, you just chase the Vayne down. That was really well played by these guys.
A lot of summoner spells burned in that as well. Neither going nor Loveland having their flashes available, but you can definitely type worth it in caps once you secure that first blood, especially for the likes of Loveland's Jarvan, who still has not used those wards that you highlighted earlier, and has now picked himself up some boots of mobility, so he'll be able to at least roam around the map and make even better use of that vision. It simply wasn't needed in that top lane.
So Loveland picking up the Spirit Stone. It's interesting because you're right. Kobe talked about First Blood giving you boots of mobility. He's actually, not gone for it. Gone for a little bit more jungle clear, interestingly. But yes, he can cash in with the pink ward. They can actually pull going. At 7 minutes, you probably could contest a dragon because you have the numbers lead in the bottom half of the map if they wanted to give up top lane pressure. That's a theoretical possibility for these guys. But it seems like they're more worried about keeping the lanes in good shape, maybe setting up a couple more ganks, and keeping turrets in good shape.
At this point in time, that blue buff will be coming up from Gaming Gear in the not-too-distant future, and we'll have to see if Loveland puts any concerted effort on that. As it stands, he's roaming towards this top lane, has just stepped right over a ward, does still get condemned into the wall, but not the wall Deadly Brother was planning.
Nah, so nothing really going to be found there. Like, Loveland's staying at the top side of the map. He can keep trying to contest that lane. And honestly, he could revisit Vayne. There's no summoner spells left aside from Inspiro's Flash over there. So the ability to dive still very much exists for these guys. OMG really could keep revisiting that lane, and it would probably work out for him.
Going has hit level 6. He's got a 10 CS advantage over NBS's Zac right now. And of course, if he's able to lock anybody down with a stun or the knock-up of Jarvan, his ultimate will allow him to shred through them. We see San and Big Pomelo now fending off some minions on this bottom wave. We see he's 63 CS to the 58 of Deadly Brother. So mechanically, Gaming Gear are keeping mostly up as far as the CS is concerned.
They're doing a pretty good job. There's the attempted dive there on a Deadly Brother, but there's not enough follow-up damage available. And there's a lot of MIA pings coming out right now from Gaming Gear because they don't see Cool. Of course, Cool is just grabbing his blue buff, but that's what's now unlocked in this map. Organa, not a great roamer, but Gragas is. And so OMG's got a better mid lane for fighting, but Alunir is already set up to dive this top lane.
Inspro's currently level 5. He's a couple minions away from that level 6. We'll have to see if the Stranglethorns is available for use in this fight. If he can get a good root down, maybe might be enough. That's a level 6 Alunir as well, so they have the recipe. They just need to land the CC in order to pick up kills here.
The lane's unfortunately not pushing. Look at how passively OMG are playing. They're actually not trying to re-dive. They haven't had eyes on a Lunar in a very long time. And even though we know OMG loves to dive and fight all the time, they're checking their aggression when they know there's elements that are question marks here on the map.
Well, as long as those questions remain unanswered, OMG are not committing to anything they don't want to. Cool. Toying with positioning, making Mazarin scared, knocks him backwards. Body slam is available, throws it down. Ignite is now ticking, it continues chasing. 200 HP and he forces Mazarin backwards, but not enough to pick up the kill. And Cool just really stomping authority on the lane. We do see there's an engagement up in the top lane. Cataclysm was used, Stranglethorns was available. They contemn going backwards, and Deadly Brother, the 100 HP, gets out cleanly. The Ignite not enough to securing him, but OMG winning every skirmish in every lane.
They traded the, they got rid of the exhaust, but here comes the spear onto a Lunar.
Oh, look at that fear. Throws Alunir backwards. The silence comes up. Barrel continues to put damage down, but thanks to that command protect, Alunir manages to get out mostly cleanly. Flash was burned. Tower in the bottom lane has been picked up for OMG, and they may get top as well.
Alunir's been spending so much time trying to gank the mid lane and not succeeding, whereas Loveland's been helping his 1v2 top lane that San and Big Pomelo just got damage in the turret slowly but surely until it fell over, whereas the top lane was never in danger. And now, because of the lopsided engagement, it's a bit of a lead here on the bottom side of the map for OMG.
And now with, of course, that Fiddlesticks Fear and the ability to tank up that Dragon, Cool, San, and Big Pomelo secure this without the aid of Loveland's Jungle Jarvan. That smite not even needed. Numbers advantage, they extend that gold lead to 3,000 gold within 30 seconds. And it's at this point that Gaming Gear need to stop, plug the hole in their ship, as it were, because OMG are pulling further and further ahead.
Yeah, they've got to really realign their gears here and just get working as one well-oiled machine. A little bit of damage goes onto that top turret, but as we just said, the fact that Loveland has kept this lane going really well for Renekton, kept the turret from taking damage, there's just no headway to be made here from Gaming Gear. The only turret that they could really pressure here is the mid lane when Cool goes to roam. But when Cool goes to roam, there's probably a kill that OMG will pick up for it.
Well, Loveland is now, does not have his Cataclysm available, trying to get in range. Deadly Brother and Inspiro were backing away as Loveland was approaching, so they did see him coming from that Tribush ward, and you can see Sun now taking over defense of this top tower from Going. He's now going to try to fight against this other hyper carrier Vayne, and he's got a small item advantage right now with that Phage and Zeal. So we're going to see another Trinity Force Kog'Maw. This will be the third of Worlds, if I recall correctly.
It's definitely been the only build we've seen from Kog'Maw so far here. Even though Double have said it was weird and inefficient and he'd rather see Blade of the Ruin King come out from this champion, it seems that everyone else on the world stage seems to agree, and we'll see if it pays off here as well for San. Just 0-0-0 so far, but building the minion kill lead. But what's interesting to me is the pink ward that OMG put down in the top lane River Brush. It looks like they're trying to keep pressure on that side of the map, that their bottom lane is winning by its own. They've already killed the turret. Here's their next sort of focus that they're going to put effort on.
Well, we'll see if they manage to take the tower down and where they go from that. As it stands right now, going with a 73 CS advantage, a 13 CS advantage over his opponent MBS, is working towards that Sunfire Cape. And just going to become a tanky, beefy crocodile like only Renekton can. The numbers are still close, but the thing is, OMG just got more presence on the map. It seems that Gaming Gear, and Alanio in particular, he hasn't been a factor in the game as of yet. We haven't seen knockups from him. We haven't really seen him put any damage onto any of OMG's champions.
Exactly. He's been trying to gank the entire time, and none of it has succeeded. And here comes a dive.
Big Pomelo's going to throw down the Crowstorm. We finally see Alanio getting involved. Big Pomelo forced to flash away as the Stranglethorns throw San up into the air. He now backs away. Living Artillery is going to smack down in the faces of Gaming Gear. They continue to focus down as the tower is now dropped in the background. That's 3 quick kills as the passive of Zyra comes out. Throws down the true damage, but it is going to be a dead Zyra, and that's 3 plus a tower, and OMG just make it look easy, even with that Stranglethorn.
They use the low HP tower to really bait Gaming Gear into defending right there. They killed the turret during the engagement and just took the kills. There's so much crowd control available there, the silence, the tanky frontliners. That's just a fight you get to do when you're ahead.
Now Mazarin's in a little bit of trouble. You see Cool coming in from the background. Command attack going out, trying to clear the wave. He's feared, he's silenced, he is crushed by Loveland, who is now on a killing spree at 3-0-2. And OMG are now 5 kills ahead, 2 towers to 0. They've got a dragon, and it's accumulating to 6,000 gold right now.
And this looks like the OMG that is 3-0 in the group stage. This is the OMG that people are saying, you know what? They're topping the group and they're showing how strong they are. This fight's going to be interesting. I expect they're going to win this fight.
Going actually started that Dominus just to help finish off the red buff, and NBX basically jumped into the damage. Cool right now does not have that explosive cask available, and Alan is just going to walk away saying, I don't really want to fight this Gragas right now.
Yeah, so OMG are just taking really everything from the map right now. 2 outer turrets already gone, 5-0 in kills. Everything is really going these guys' way. And this is, to me, now you kind of want to look at this and for all the other teams say, look, this is OMG. They have made every choice correctly. When you look at what the junglers did, Elunir trying to gank, never succeeding, whereas Loveland stayed top lane, actually got a kill for his team, kept his turret alive, whereas the OMG dual lane killed a turret. Decision-making's been good for OMG. All the die's been good for OMG. This is another one.
Oh, take a look at that. Bounces Deadly Brother backwards, condemns him into the wall. Cool got stunned up, and he decides to back away. You actually seen Sun and Big Pomelo. They did not follow in. They didn't chase that down. maybe cool biting off a little more than he can chew right now.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the most successful idea from him, but he has some cool direction in his build. His explosive cast actually most of the way back from cooldown. And Gragas runs around so fast, and the team is so well coordinated, he left mid, but Levlin took over the mid lane farm. So they didn't even miss anything for doing that. In fact, they burned Vayne's ultimate, and Gragas will be back first.
Well, Big Pamela now just hiding off to the side of this. OMG pushing all 3 lanes simultaneously, and we're seeing really controlled aggression from them. Knock up, oh, not landing this time around as Lovin's flag and drag, not throwing him towards Aluna. And he's going to use that Dark Flight to get out. Now, the cask is not up yet. There, Gragas' ultimate becomes available, and that's a flash from Aluna. He was afraid of the fear of Fiddle, and that's going to allow OMG to secure the last outer tower if they stick around in this mid lane.
They should be able to. They've actually pulled their AD carry into this lane. The fact that Son is not leaving means he's here for the push, and I don't see this getting turned around. You'll see some poke from Zyra, but that's a dead turret.
Yeah, nothing to really worry about. So tower number 3 falls. Cool, has his ultimate available. He's actually going to throw a barrel and sidestep to the right. Let's see about the knockup. They catch Inspiro. He's locked in with Cataclysm. The ultimate comes down from Gragas and doesn't catch anybody from Gaming Gear. They're not going to walk out, but they got the Stranglethorn. So Inspiro's massive CC not going to be available if a fight were to break out.
And if they want to go for this one, with Dragon up in 3 seconds, OMG has full control. Everyone on the team for OMG on the bottom half of the map, it's fully theirs.
So going, throws down Dominus. He's trying to battle out Deadly Brother. In comes Big Pomelo from the side. Nobody's caught by those crows. Deadly Brother now recommits onto Big Pomelo. That massive 3-second fear into Drain. Fiddle is still alive. Fiddle gets out cleanly before Elinure comes in. Throws down the massive hit to secure the first kill of the game for Gaming Gear. Now he's running, and like only Elinure can. The Bloodwell comes out. He's stuck down in the passive, and OMG secure the 8th kill. They're going to take the bottom inner turret. If they want to tank it up, going to decide back, as MBS is going to be a tasty, juicy target. The double revives of Zac and Aatrox not going to be enough. OMG just in a commanding lead.
That was really interesting fight awareness by OMG because Zac was reviving under the turret. Levlin tried to deal some damage, was like, actually, the turret's doing too much. You guys can kill him later. Go dive the Aatrox. I'll just zone him out on the other side of the map. And they picked up the kill anyway, despite the Zac revive coming through. These guys are in complete control. So one thing you talked about a little while back was the Trinity Force Kog'Maw. And what I actually like about the Trinity Force Kog'Maw is 2 things. So one is you can re-trigger the double base damage Sheen proc with your ultimate very easily. But also, when you trigger your W, you get 700 plus range, and it counts as spell cast. So the very first thing you can do is be like, I hit you for 300 damage. And in a laning phase situation, you just get to poke Vayne. And they actually, once they got Trinity Force done, he went to go fight the Vayne matchup and said, I'm going to poke you for 300 damage every time this ability's up, plus my ultimate.
And you can't discount the mobility it gives you as well. Right now, Lovelin with that Oracle's Elixir and finally getting the boots of mobility. I got boots of mobility and just speed confused earlier. He is now roaming around this map. Cataclysm is up, as is his flash. The Dragon is available for taking, and OMG with this immense 10,000 gold lead before 20 minutes, as well as the Ring of Vision on that bottom half of the map, could decide to go for it. We do see blue buff was secured by Deadly Brothers. Oh, it just respawned, actually. I'm being very silly. Lovelin and going in to secure this one up. Son actually gets that last hit with his Living Artillery.
I like that a lot, because now that Kog'Maw's level 11, the rank 2 Cog ultimate not only gets more range than rank 1, so he can use it more safely, but it deals a lot more damage as well, and he can actually poke GG off their turrets. There's no sustainer on that team. They can get some real headway now on this siege and get into the base by 20 minutes.
The 5th tower of the game has now fallen. Command attack being used just for vision here from Mazarin, trying to keep tabs on the Chinese players' movements. They now roll to the mid lane to secure their 6th tower of the game. This is turning into a PvE matchup as OMG are just completely controlling this map. Now, Crowstorm is available, and we've seen Big Pomelo not afraid to use that in fights, and Vayne wasn't even able to kill him in the previous one.
No, exactly. And this is really smart by OMG. They've already taken the 6 outer turrets down before 20 minutes because there's been no global gold coming in because the lanes are pressured so much. There's no items coming in, and here's the dive.
Oh, Crowstorm comes out, a very nice route, is going to keep OMG backwards, but it's not going to be enough. San secures the first kill of the fight on Mazrin. Shockwave was not even used, and now Inspiro is going to need to find some inspirational music to save him. He gets dropped down. It's a second kill for San. He's now unstoppable at 5-0-4. A good condemn into the wall is going to force going to flash, but MBS didn't even get the knock-up in there. Let's Bounce comes out. And Gaming Gear are all over the place right now. They are just being split up, and OMG are having their way. The inhibitor turret is now being focused down, and a 5 versus 3 defense. There's no ultimates available here for the defending members of Gaming Gear, and it looks like they're going to back away. The tower will drop very, very soon, and OMG, they're going to decide to back away as Gaming Gear respawns.
Yeah, that is the aggressive take no prisoner style of the top teams in China. Look how little room to breathe they have given Gaming Gear. Nothing was held away from them. Okay, we'll protect our own turrets, but then, oh, we got the first turret. Oh, we got the first kill. We'll take everything now. OMG turned back for Dragon. That'll take them all of 15 seconds. But as they said, within 20 minutes, 6 turrets were down. No items, no good items have come in for the Gaming Gear lineup, and OMG keeps diving and forcing the fights and constantly just knocking at the front door. Gaming
Gear now with a 5-man stack in this mid lane. They're trying to get onto this tower. The Shockwave comes out. It only manages to catch Cool. He's going to flash away from the roots, and Inspiro and the rest of the team still unable to secure that tower. 0 towers for Gaming Gear right now. Take a look at those gold values in the bottom of your screen. 3,000 difference between basically everybody. 80 carries, that's 4,000 right now. It's so difficult to do anything with that sort of item differential.
It's brutal. It's really, really, really brutal. Deadly Brother just now has finished Blade of the Ruin King, so he can finally be a little bit useful in fights. But when you're fighting a Renekton with Brutalizer and Sunfire Cape, he'll kill you.
Inspiro almost gets one-shotted there from Cool's Grog as Dominus is thrown down by Going. A flash forward from Loveland. He slam dunks the Cataclysm. Deadly Brother forced to flash out as NBS follows suit. The Blades of Torment is going to slow members of OMG in the background, and Going's Dominus is about to wear out. A very good Stranglethorn throws up OMG. Now Deadly Brother silenced up. He can't tumble. The first victim of the fight is Going as Gaming Gear double their kill score. We do see in the background NBS was dropped and San is chasing. The mobility of that Trinity Force is so will He's out of mana though, so can't keep spamming those living artilleries, and this is going to allow OMG to secure the inhibitor.
Even a 1-for-1 is enough for these guys though. OMG will be able to get the first one, and there's a minion wave at the bottom turret as well.
So they're going to turn their focus down onto this tower. The Condemn actually pushes Cool to safety as the body slam gets him out of distance of that wall. So Inhibitor is now down at 22 minutes with a 10 kill advantage and a massive gold lead. OMG, it's up to them what they want to do. They can most likely clear the jungle, maybe go for Baron, and then try to force down the last towers. They've played a very controlled game so far.
Yeah, it's worth giving Son a full mana bar, letting him take red buff. And they don't even need to go for Baron. Sure, they could choose to if they wanted. Nothing would stop them. They'd get it and have another easy way to push into the base. But basically, seeing OMG close out games is important to watch, because we've seen scorelines this different before and have them take another 10 minutes to close out. One thing that OMG does very well, I think, is efficiently close games, as long as they pick the right fights. Occasionally they pick wrong ones, but they're usually very good at winning quickly.
Yeah, when we think about Mineski in Group B, they have been in similar situations and really held on with the skin in their teeth at the last minute to fight out, dragging games out multiple minutes, picking up, defending turret aces in certain situations against the likes of Ozone. So Gaming Gear may have a similar situation on their hands. Right now, OMG have decided to go for that Baron, but it's dropping very quickly with the damage of Cogmore.
And they've got plenty of ward control. They will see GG coming in and can choose to disengage at a moment's notice.
Let's Bounce has just become available for NBS. Is he going to fling himself in? That's the question. He does, but the Baron's already down, and the rest of Gaming Gear say, sorry bro, we're out. They back away. NBS is going to be the first victim of this fight, and the rest of OMG trying to chase down Gaming Gear. A little bit of miscommunication there, I feel.
NBS didn't need to be the one to go in. He can't smite. You can't trust that you're going to outsmite one of the best junglers in the world when you don't even have the summoner spell yourself. At the very least, wait for a Lunar. But here's a 5v4 with Baron buff. This is surely OMG closing out the game.
20 seconds on the clock before NBS is available. Let's Bounce will not be there when he respawns. The tower's going to fall. OMG now onto the second inhibitor turret. There are super minions pouring down the middle lane, and OMG may decide to close this one out, even in a 5v5 situation, it seems impossible to me that Gaming Gear could win a fight. The statistic difference is just too big. OMG gonna play this one safe though, and go down to the bottom lane. Deadly Brother just gets one-shotted there. A shockwave pulls him backwards, the knockup not really landing there from Alinea.
Oh.
Now we see the barrel from Cool, knocking everyone clean out safely. The barrier wears off and Deadly Brother falls suit. Now OMG are gonna secure their 3rd kill of the fight. Mazarin flashes onto the fountain and sand, pops down the barrier to survive the laser. They're onto the Nexus turrets and OMG are gonna pick up a very, very clean victory.
16-3 in 25 minutes, not even giving up a single turret kill themselves. Very well executed victory by OMG. Good decisions from the beginning, and they move to 4-0 halfway through the group stage.
Very, very dominant performance from OMG. It was clear they had a game plan coming into this match. They didn't falter, they didn't panic in the game at all, and everything was just so crisp throughout the match.
Crisp is the perfect definition for what OMG did. Every decision they made was on point. If someone died, it was to start a fight and get more kills. If the jungler went somewhere, it paid off, whether it was a gank or a turret defense or a dive. All of them worked. That's the kind of gameplay you see from a team who is on point and are ready to play a world championship.
For Gaming Gear EU, if they look back on this game for VOD review and think about what they could have done, the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game before it really snowballed out of the way, if they had made some more plays, if they'd had ganks that had worked, they may have got themselves a bit more in it, but it just, it stayed so stable for so long, and then a couple Towers and Dragons, and it just escalated.
Exactly, and that's the trouble when you fight OMG. Like, think back to all their wins here. When they get an early game lead, they do not let up. And you cannot let OMG get their early game lead because they have the aggression dial turned to 11, and then they will close the game out and give you no room to breathe. That's the kind of gameplay that's made them top this group.
I do feel that this was their most controlled game.
Yes.
I do think that that was 10.5 for this matchup.
Okay.
We'll see if it continues with the rest of their games. We're going to throw this one over to Riv and the rest of the analysts for a breakdown of OMG's incredibly powerful performance.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And I think everybody, the fans, the viewers here at the desk, tells us OMG by that play, they are still perfect coming into this group stage. So coming out of that, what are we thinking about OMG? Can they be stopped? They've shown us different things all the time. You know, Monty, I'll kick this off with you.
Yeah, I mean, they're still looking next to flawless. I'm impressed that they've managed to come here in a very different circumstance to their normal LPL with the jet lag and still perform so well.
I talked a bit with Tabe from Royal because they just arrived. And Tabe says that OMG practices by far the most out of any Chinese team that he's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, they were so dominant in the LPL seasons. We've talked about this many times before, but it's really kind of being reinforced right here because we knew that China was a very closed system of League of Legends, especially in the spring split when they were playing a lot of Hecarim, a lot of Malphite, and that actually made me question how strong they'd really be when they came here at Worlds. And at least in this group right now, it kind of seems like, well, that closed system was actually incredibly evolved, and they're actually very strong.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think many of us who pay attention to the Chinese scene have these questions. And that's what's so fun about Worlds, though, right, is that we get to see these different styles that have evolved over the course of the season go head-to-head and have these questions answered.
You know, guys, coming into this matchup, we've seen that Gaming Gear is having a slight bit of trouble. And earlier I asked, you know, the old players as well as current players, and as well, Monty, feel free to chime in. The intensity coming into these matches now that Gaming Gear EU is almost on the verge of mathematical elimination from the tournament. What does that do to your mindset coming in, Krepa?
Coming into this tournament, though, they were not the favorite at all. I mean, let's be honest. They didn't expect to get out of groups. They knew they had a slight chance to get out, maybe. I think right now they should just drop the pressure. Enjoy this experience as much as they can. You have to remember, for a team not competing in any of the major leagues, LPL, the OGN tournament in Korea, or even the LCS in North America and Europe, they're one of the teams that get the chance to get in here, like with by the wild card. They got here. They got the World Finals experience. They have the studio experience. All they can do from this is learn and have fun.
Yeah, and it's the second big event they've been able to go to as well. They're at Gamescom in Germany where they were able to actually win a tournament. And you can tell they're already kind of at least enjoying it. They're always smiling, even with all of this happening. So it is kind of the right mindset to go in because they are overmatched. And at this point, it's about learning as much as possible.
It's really mean to say, like, used to losing, but it's something like the first loss you take is going to hit you hard. But, like, if you look at it objectively, they're not the favorites, but they're they're enjoying their time here. They're walking around here before the games. They're not even that stressed. Like they're really nice guys.
Smiles on the face throughout
always
Champions
smiling.
Select
What
in their
can you do
seats.
better?
Yeah.
Especially like you can see that the crowd also gets behind a lot of the underdog teams. We saw with Mineski as well. Okay, they weren't doing too well. They're doing the interview and somebody just shouts, "I love you, Kage." That's like really, really nice to see that all these teams, even though they're not doing the best and they're having the largest fan base, that the crowd still gets behind them.
All right, well, with our last match ahead of us, let's right now check out how Group A stacks up with one game left today. OMG stays perfect and finishes the first half of group stage at 4-0, while Gaming Gear is still looking for their first win. So, gentlemen, it's time to pick the final matchup of the day. SKT1 versus Team Solo Mid. Jat, what do you have for us?
Yeah, it may not be popular with the fans here, but I am going with SKT once again. I just feel like they are a superior team in this group right now. Basically, even though TSM had such an awesome game against Lemon Dogs where they really executed, I have too much faith in Faker right now. I just feel like his actual champion pool is far exceeding that of Reginald right now, and he should be able to dominate for SKT and just carry on as usual.
Crepo?
Pretty much SKT1. I talked to Reggie earlier, and he handed me this skin code. And he said, yeah, just vote for SKT1, and then TSM is going to take it all. So I'm going with SKT1. But for any fans in this building that want a skin code, I think Nick Allen has a lot more. So find him and get some skin codes.
Wow, you're mean, dude. My vote also goes for SKTT1. I talked to Reggie earlier, though, and he tried to convince me otherwise. He was really, really, really confident. I can't stress how confident this guy was.
He's pretty confident.
I actually have a quote from that. Dude, God's bleed, yo. And
oh, yeah, exactly. He's like, dude, even God's bleed, yo, in that voice.
Yeah.
Reggie has historically, he's always really confident. He says he beat Faker in some scrims. I don't know exactly like what happened because I didn't watch those games, obviously. But Reggie clearly has a mental, he's got good mental fortitude. He's not shaken at all.
I mean, I'm taking SK Telecom as well. I know.
No.
Really? Yeah, shocking.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. It's
Jaws on the floor.
Breaking news.
It's a bold gambit, but I do want to take this opportunity to explain to the fans a lot of what's been going on in Korea in regards to these matches. So, the Korean fans are well aware of the trash talking that's been coming out of TSM about Korean players and about SK Telecom. And so right before I came here, there's a show on OnGameNet called I Am a Carry, which is co-hosted by Koma, the coach of SK Telecom T1.
Okay.
And he said that he would make sure that Reggie never said a word about a Korean player again. And then, when he came here, he just did an interview over the past couple of days with OGN, and he said that after all the TSM chants in the crowd, that the crowd would be silent after their games. So that's their coach, Koma, and his thoughts on the upcoming match.
he's not even playing.
Does he offer lessons on trash talking? Because I need some of that.
See, I can't hear the crowd. They seem to be really quiet at the moment.
Yeah, I don't believe that
I don't-
TSM thinks they're too quiet, and it's the momentum they want to use to be able to carry into this game. We talk a lot about momentum with NA teams, but Monty, where does that fall for the Korean teams coming in, or even the Chinese teams? Does momentum a factor for them, or, as you say, they just adapt game to what needs to happen?
I think that not having momentum is not something that SK Telecom is really even used to. You have to remember that they have never lost a match except to Ozone. They've split because we have those 2-game formats, 1-1 with Sword, and they've dropped games to the KT Bullets, but they've never actually gone down against any team except for Ozone. So
Until today.
well, there's still another game versus TSM left.
It's like, where did that voice come from just now?
Exactly.
That was Crepo. And actually, I do feel like SK Telecom, to answer your question, Riv, actually can carry momentum very well.
Okay.
Just based off of all of their best of fives that we were talking about earlier. When they start by losing the first or the first 2 games and then just run the table with the next 3, they already had their loss, effectively, against OMG.
Looking back at last game, what do you think? Like, what do you guys think they're going to do? Like, ban Zed, obviously, but...
SK Telecom scouting the OMG game.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to take from that one? Jat, you as an analyst.
Okay, as an analyst, put me on the spot. I think they're going to ban Zed.
Uh-huh.
I think they're going to try to pick away Vi. SKT is the blue team in this one, so
they're not even going to ban Zed?
No, they wouldn't ban Zed. Faker.
Faker's a god, dude. His champion pool is endless, it seems. Like, he plays everything. He plays it comfortably, and he always does well. Like, if I saw a game where he played something new and I was like, I've never seen him play that, and then he did badly, I'd be like, oh, I guess Faker doesn't live up to this hype, but he he does live up to that.
Monty,
hype.
what was that statistic of his champion pool?
He's played 51 professional games, and he's played 19 different champions now over that
And
time.
recently his Fizz third game of the day here was his first Fizz.
Correct.
So even pulling out first professional Fizz there. So we see Faker, even everybody's saying it on Twitter, on social media, the playmaker. So our lane to watch here is definitely going to be somewhat in the mid lane. We're going to see if the odd one can be as much of an extension of his mid lane as Bengi is to Faker. It's just something that we are going to have to keep our eyes on, and I'm sure everybody's been pretty excited and ready for this match. But first, we're going to have to take a short breather, but when we return, Faker and SK Telecom try to silence the crowd. Reggie and Team Solo Mid in our final match of the day. So don't touch that mouse. The Season 3 Championship live from Los Angeles. We'll be right back.